Hey guys, it's Pete from Pete from Anxiety here. Welcome into today's episode. I appreciate y'all being here so much. Let's talk about a few things real quick. The Pete vs. Anxiety Team Anxiety Facebook group. Are you a part of it? You're not? What are you waiting for? The link's down here in the description down below, or go to Facebook and search Pete vs. Anxiety. Then look for the Team Anxiety team page and join it today. Why not? You can join and help. It'll be great. Yeah, like right now. Hurry up. Stop what you're doing. Pause this video. Go do it right now. But anyways, let's also talk about the Pete vs. Anxiety YouTube page. If you're here right now, you're probably following it most likely. If not, head on over there, subscribe, be sure to like and comment on the videos and let me know, because all that stuff really helps, guys. I really appreciate it. And help me break the stigma that mental health is talked about enough. But anyways, guys, let's get in today's episode. I'll have a great one. Thank you so much again. And as I always say, don't ask how your day is. Ask how your mental health is today. Guys, welcome to an exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. My guest today is the co-host of the award-winning Shit That Goes On in My Head podcast. Mental health podcast is a dedicated advocate for the 988 Suicide Crisis, Suicide and Crisis Hotline, a suicide attempter survivor. Please welcome the one, the only Gretchen. Is it Schoser? Is that how you say it?
Close enough. Schoser. It's got a hard O on it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. Sorry we're so late getting live here, guys. We are having a little tech issues, but she's here. Anyways, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Pete. I am so honored to be here on your show, and this is such a great avenue for us to help destigmatize mental health. So, our podcast came about because my own mental health struggles. So on Christmas Day, 2022, I attempted suicide. Thank God for that little glimmer of hope that things were going to get better. I ended up calling 988. I'm alive today because of 988. And I took all my pain and hurt and turned it into purpose. We created a podcast that's called Shit That Goes On in Our Heads.
I love the name, by the way.
And we didn't think anybody would listen to us, right? We were like, yeah, we're going to get 3 episodes in. Nobody's going to listen to us. We're fools. Then come September of 2024, and we won 2 awards for the podcast. And we've hit just a little bit over 1 million downloads. And, part of my healing journey was sharing about my own journey. The day after Christmas, I went out on social media and I let people know what was going on. I'm an extrovert, also an empath, and I hid my depression really well. Not a badge of honor. So, if you're an extrovert and you're hiding your pain because of shame or because you can't find your voice, don't do it, because all it does is ends up hurting you in the end. And it doesn't give people the chance to help you out. One conversation could probably change your life.
Yeah, that's great you say that, though, too, because I was talking to somebody about that last night. Actually, this morning, I was on TikTok, and there's a guy named Daddy Clint who runs these lives where he yells at the No Sleep Zone. And he was talking about that, and I was telling him, I was like, listen, man, you just having people come here sharing their stories or sharing anything with you, and they're talking to you about it, is the best thing you could ever get them to do. Because if they're talking to you, it means a lot, though, and it makes a major difference. So when it comes to people's state of mind like that, too, because they feel like they're being heard at that point. Now, if you were to shut them down, okay, it may not go so well right afterwards. And I suggest to anybody that when that happens, if somebody's reaching out talking like that, or they're saying, take them serious. Don't brush it off. Don't be like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. It's serious. If they're talking to you, they're asking for help in their own way.
Yeah, there's a great Simon Sinek clip out there on YouTube. It's called 8 Minutes. Listen, we all have 8 minutes for somebody. So if somebody's reaching out to you and that really needs help, maybe they don't need your feedback. Maybe they just need an ear. Give them that 8 minutes just to vent. And if you know somebody that's really struggling, and if you're here in the U.S. or in Canada, call the 988. It's not just for suicide ideation. It's for any type of crisis. It's free. It's anonymous. And they literally save lives every day. They save my life. And like I said, I am so happy to be alive today because I took all that really horrible pain and it turned it into a beautiful purpose. And, you said something, Pete, that really, it makes my heart smile, right? Every time we share our story, we unlock somebody else's prison. And that way people feel seen and heard, and they don't feel so terrified in their own journey because they know that somebody else is going through the same type of thing.
No, you're right, 100%. And that's the great thing with the show is people sharing their stories. Other people, such as yourself, coming on. As much as you got going on and things like that. It even shows that hey, no matter what you got going on, everybody has something they're not telling people about. And I think that was an interesting point one of my guests had made before is that she had reached out to somebody and they shut her down, and I was like, ooh, yeah. See, there's the problem. Is that one person said, "Oh, hey, call me if you need something." She called them, and then they go, "Oh, well, I'm too busy to deal with your problems right now. I have my own." And I'm just like, "Oh, no, no. Come on, guys. We got to do better than that."
Yeah, we all need to do better. And Pete, you know as well as I do, like the world's on fire right now,
Yeah.
literally on fire, and people are reaching out, scrambling for resources, like resources that we would typically give on any given episode 2 years ago. Some of those resources aren't available now.
Yeah.
And if you find a resource link, hang on to it. URL might change, or destination, whoever's publishing it might change, but use those resources and like don't shut people down. People, listen, we all got something going on. Every single one of us, whether it's a mental health issue or a work issue or whatever, like 8 minutes. Like you don't have to give any advice, just listen to them. And if you offer up for somebody to call you if they're in crisis, take the time to answer that phone call.
Yeah.
Be- Probably just save their life.
Exactly. See, that's the same thing I tell people too, because it's like, they don't realize how much is happening. Because if they're at least talking to you about it, you've already won the battle right there. Because when you look at the statistics, men don't normally call and talk to you about it. They'll just commit suicide versus women who will talk to you about it who haven't committed as much. And the thing is that either it doesn't matter either side you're going with. It's just like you just said, if someone calls you and is telling you something, just listen. It doesn't cost anything. They're not asking you to be an expert. They're asking you to be that friend you told them to call. Like, hey, listen, reach out if you need something. Because I'm tired of people that when it happens, they go, oh, well, they should have reached out to you. Then you find out that they reached out to them and they go, oh, well, yeah, they brushed them off, basically. It's like, come on now. You can't do that to people. Say, hey, listen, I'll listen if you want to call and talk to me about it. And then you don't listen to what they're saying because, that's the worst thing you could do possibly.
Oh, 1000%. Like, you know, it took a lot for me to call 988. Number one, at the time it happened, I was 59 and a half. And I'd grown up in a generation where, we don't talk about our mental health. We like
Yeah.
shove that down until it can't go anyplace else. But at the time that everything was going on, I didn't quite understand what was going on in my head. And I was terrified. Like, no, Pete, when I tell you, nobody knew how depressed I was. Nobody. My wife didn't know. My coworkers didn't know. My friends didn't know. Nobody knew. I like as extroverts, we mask up really well.
Yeah.
Like, just don't. Okay. Like, I can tell you somebody in 2 years into my healing journey, like, I hurt myself more than I helped myself. But in my defense, like, I didn't understand what was going on inside my head. Like, I didn't want to put up any Christmas decorations. I didn't want to do anything. And I did things that were totally out of character for me. And, if you see somebody like totally getting withdrawn or they're they've kind of just checked out, just check in on them, right? Like, and make sure if they're extroverted, you give them a question that they have to answer back. Because my typical response was, "Hey, yeah, I'm living the dream," but in reality, like, I just wanted to be done. I was like, I just wanted to die inside my head. But being an extrovert and being an empath, I took on everybody's pain. And then the
Yeah.
problem is I didn't take care of myself. I know
Yeah.
how to take care of myself now, and like it, like boundaries are life saving.
Right, exactly. And I think a lot of people don't do those, especially with social media. Like TikTok's the worst enemy of that all, man. All when people send you those live requests, oh, well, come visit my live, come visit my live, and then you feeling obligated. It's like, no, man, set your boundaries. Tell people, listen, hey, after this time, like I tell people after 5 o'clock, don't expect to get a hold of me much unless it's an absolute emergency because I unplug from that point on. Like I don't look at my phone much. I'll look at it maybe if something important comes in here and there, but other than that, I'm usually not looking at my phone at all. And it's my wife said recently, it weirds her out when I don't do that. I'm like, well, I'm trying to unplug for myself, and not only because you come home, because when she gets home, that's me and her time until I go to work because I work third shift, so I'm up all night, so most nights, and I come record this show, and then I take a nap afterwards, and then when she gets home, I focus time on her, And it's hard for people to unplug because it's addictive, man. You get all these people want you to come visit them and things like that. And it's like, listen, you can invite all you want, but don't expect me to be there. And a lot of people I found, some don't understand that. They're just like, oh, well, you're not going to be there. No, I've already told you after 5 o'clock is my time. These are the boundaries I'm setting. You like them? I don't care if you like them personally. It's what I've chosen to do. And it's strange to people when I tell them that, but I'm like, listen, it's the first thing, man. And then self-care also is not really done much either. People don't realize, like, listen, sometimes you just got to take a step away and worry about you, man. You can be as selfish as you want, because at the end of the day, you got to worry about yourself, man. Some of these people aren't worried about you. Your real friends will be there when you come back, or they'll call and check in on you, like, hey, listen, are you doing okay? Things like that. That's your real friends. That's how you determine who's who, and things like that too. And I don't think people realize it's those small little things that we can do. You don't have to be a professional, man, to be a good friend. You just gotta just ask them, hey, listen, how you doing? And and to your thing about asking questions, I always ask people, hey, how's your mental health? Because think about it. If I said, hey, Gretchen, how are you? You can answer with, oh, I'm just doing fine, or some one word answer that. But I would say, hey, how's your mental health? You have to think about what I'm saying to you now, because now you're like, wait a minute, what did he just say to me? And you have to actually think of a response to that.
And what's really sad is, in like today's society, people still have a hard time mentioning the word mental health, right?
Yep.
It's not a bad word. It's not. Nor is suicide or bipolar or anxiety. Listen, we all have messy heads, every single one of us, and just like show up for your coworkers, show up for your friends, show up for your family. Like, show up. And if you say you're going to show up for a friend, honestly, show up.
Yeah.
Don't brush us off, right? That's like the biggest slap in the face. And just being kind. Kindness goes a really long way, especially in the firestorm that we're having right now, because people don't just have like their day-to-day work stress, but they have a ton of external factors coming in, and they may have been like the happiest person in the world, and then all of a sudden they're shutting down. Those are the people you really want to latch onto, and like, don't make it weird and gross, but like, just ask them how they're doing. Like, a simple conversation goes a long way.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And you being married and I'm married, we both understand that, just having a conversation with your partner helps. Like, I had a situation where me and my wife had to have a hard conversation. Now things are a lot different, and it was good to get all that out there. It was a rough conversation, but it's a conversation I had to have. A lot of times it's rough when you come to talk about your feelings or things. I shared mine, she shared hers, and things like that. And it's great when you can have that communication, because you guys can talk about anything. And I think that's a lot of times, like you said, just have a conversation. And people don't, like I said, suicide really worries people, because I had a guy on the show by the name Brian. Brian's a really good friend of mine I had made through the show. He's doing great things, but Brian had talked about his own suicide ideation. He talked about, actually, that morning he had considered it right before we started recording. Like, now when Mike and we and him linked up, you could tell something was bothering him at first. And then he started mentioning, well, I lost my friend to suicide a few months ago. And there it was just the unlocking phase of that. And he said, hey, Pete, can I say something? And I believe that's when he started going in. He talked about it at one point, and then he circled back to it. I had about 15 people after that recording go, listen, is he okay? I'm like, yeah, I just heard from him. What do you mean? I mean, it was a wild moment, but it's a real conversation that had to be had, like, he was out here live sharing this with people to see. Now, anybody can see this show, because we're on YouTube and everything else, and they can hear Brian saying it. But what Brian was doing was something powerful, because he's talking about what his thoughts were. Hey, Pete, this morning, and he went a great description. There was no details spared at all. And I thought it was amazing that he took the time to do it right here with me, because I was at first a little panicked, because I was like, oh man, what is he going to say next? But at the same time, I didn't realize what was going on, until he started talking more about it. And I was like, man, that was a powerful movement. 15 people that don't know him are already asking, hey, listen, is he okay? I'm like, yeah, I heard from him already. He messaged me back. It was like in some of the show clips I have on, Instagram and things like that. He was like, it was really powerful for him to start having that conversation, but it scared the hell of a lot of people. I don't know why, because at least he's talking to us, because he was telling us what was going on in his head.
And that kind of leads me to the other little project I'm working on. We
Oh,
laughed
okay.
about this earlier about my plate is very full right now. So a couple of months ago, I launched another podcast with a friend of mine, and it's called the Survivors Podcast.
There
It's
you
all
go.
about suicide awareness. I'm not sure if you or your listeners know, but since January 20th, the suicide attempt and full-on suicide rates have gone up over 25%.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
and the crisis hotlines, their call volume has gone up over 700%.
Jeez.
So no matter if you're in a big city, you're in a suburb, you're alone, or you're in rural America, call 988. It is free. It is anonymous. You are not alone. You are wanted. You are loved.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you can't find your voice, like in my case, the 988 woman that I spoke with helped me find a voice. She helped me find my footing. She gave a meaning to what was going on in my head, because like I couldn't even talk to my wife. Like I couldn't tell anybody what was going on because I didn't understand. But after that phone call, I talked to my wife for over 3 hours, and it was probably the most I'd ever cried,
Yeah.
even more than when my mom had passed away. That was pretty traumatic, but like I had a lot of stuff going on in the last quarter of 2022. It was a lot for me to handle. It'd probably be a lot for a lot of people to handle. But I'm also an empath, so I took on everybody
Mm-hmm.
else's crap
Me too.
and did not take care of myself, right? Like you were talking about self-care and self-love. Yeah, they may seem like buzzwords, but they're not. If you are not taking care of yourself, there is no way you can take care of anybody else. No way.
No, that's 100% true. And hats off to your wife for a 3 hour long conversation. That had to be hard on her too, to hear all the thoughts you had and things like that just coming out for her to hear it all. Man, hats off to her, man. And because she had to take on a lot that you were giving out, though. But that's a real woman there. That's a real partner for you, man. The one that can sit there and handle those conversations with you. They can be real. Listen, hats off to her 100%, man, because it's crazy. And the number going up is that's why this conversation needs to happen more. You know, it's just insane. It really is.
Well, especially right now. Like right now is May is Mental Health Awareness Month, right? But we should
Mhm.
be practicing like checking in on our mental health every single day.
Yeah.
Every day. Like for me, mine includes like journaling, doing my podcast is super healing for me. Random acts of kindness. When I go to the store now, when I see the person's name tag on, I address them by their name tag.
Mhm.
You may
Mhm.
be the nicest person that they've run into you all day, right? All those kinds of things help help you. They help inside your head. They give you a little joy, and
You're even making their day too. Remember now, you
yeah,
mentioning them by name, like you said, that one kind of act of kindness could save someone's life.
yeah. Like don't be rude to them. Okay, they're human. Everybody's human, right?
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. We all have bad days, but you will never truly understand what somebody's going through by just looking at them, right?
Exactly.
There's so many hidden mental illnesses, PTSD, schizophrenia, bipolar, anxiety, the whole 9 yards, right? Like just be nice. That's my two things like right now is check in on your extroverted friends and be nicer to people.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because like I've had a situation where I could read the guy's body language a little bit, and I could sense something wrong. So I say, "Hey, man, how you doing today?" And he just unloaded like, and I was just like, what he told me was that he saw his friend was in a shooting incident. His friend got shot to death, and he was sitting a car length ahead of him. So they were outside this billiard hall, okay. And his name is Chris. Chris had told me this story. And mind you, I've seen this guy 1,000 times where I work. I work at a gas station, so I see people come in all the time. I don't know a lot of people by name just because it's just like, we don't exchange names a lot of times. But when I get a chance to know their name, you better believe I'm using their name every time I see them. But Chris had come up to me, and I noticed something was wrong. I say, "Hey, Chris, man, how you doing?" He's like, "Can I really tell you, Pete?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead, man. What's up? Talk to me." And he looked like he had something really wanted to say. So then he shared the whole incident of his friend getting shot. He was the one calling 911, looking at his friend's lifeless body, going, "I don't know if he's going to make it or not." Unfortunately, he lost him on December 18th. I did a nice little video package for him that Monday episode as soon as I found out about it, the day of the funeral for Chris's friend. And Chris, had seen it and was so ecstatic about it. He was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You didn't have to do it." I'm like, "You're right. I didn't have to do it, Chris. I did it because it needed to be said." Because Chris told me something very interesting. He said, since the incident happened till the time I asked him, no one asked him how he was doing. They knew he was struggling, knew he was having problems, but no one in his inner circle ever asked him the question of like, "Hey, Chris, how are you doing?" And it's scary. Like, how could no one ask this poor guy what's going on? You can clearly see he's struggling. I'm an empath too, so no, I have this uncanny ability. I can read people's emotions a lot of times and see something's wrong, and usually that's how I generate the conversation. A lot of people, and I've been told some wild things over the years. I had a guy come in and tell me his kid was dead. He lost his kid a few minutes ago after walking in the store, and he's like, "Oh, do you really care? Do you really want to know?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, go talk to me. What's up?" And that's what gave me the idea to start this podcast, because I had another podcast before. We were just messing around doing some stuff, and then I had to really rethink about it because a lot of things were coming up that I didn't like. So it's like, all right, let's reset it. And then one day it just hit me like the apple falling out of the tree, man. It's just like Pete versus anxiety, why not? Where are we talking about mental health? And I was looking up some podcasts and things, and a lot of them are doctors, but I'm like, where's it just a real general conversation? So, it's like one average man versus his anxiety, and I'm meeting other people that have other things. And, ever since I started the show, it's like an evolution of who I am, because I went from just like this quiet individual, felt like I'm not being heard much, to now like everybody's talking about me. I have people on their podcast talking about me, other people mentioning my name, and things like that. It's just, to me, it's still weird to me, because I'm like, damn, they're talking about me. I mean, all I'm doing is having a conversation with people, and it's making that powerful of a movement, and it's great, and I love it. And I'm still trying to get over the stardom of the people saying my name on a podcast episode. I literally fell over, girl. I was like, oh man, I'm like, are they talking about me? Oh God.
I can totally relate to that, because my wife is all the time. She's like, "You're internet famous." I'm like, "Shut up. I am not." Okay. But like the conversations that like you and I have, or like what Dirty Skittles and I have, they are real, authentic conversations. We are real people going
Mhm.
through these issues. We're not doctors.
Nope.
Like, we are so not clinical. We're anti-clinical. But I think that like having conversations like this with like you and I, or maybe Joe down the street, sharing our stories helps other people unlock their doors, so they don't feel so terrified and alone in their own journeys. And I'm finding more, like, over the last, I'm going to say 2 years, that men have really started to open up about their mental health, because there should be absolutely no shame for you going through whatever you're going through.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And like opening your mouth and like letting people in, it's a lot easier to say now, because I was horrible at it in 2022.
Yeah.
Like, apparently now I couldn't find my voice before, and now I can't shut up. But I'm okay with that, because I'm getting a message out there. Like, I want people to see me as a story of hope, because I took all that really bad stuff and turned it into purpose.
Right.
We've had over about 120 episodes now. And then I started sharing my own story, because my co-host and several other people are like, people need to hear your story, like what you went through. And so I've now started doing a ton of podcast interviews. And then in just this year, on January 22nd, I opened up my own business. I quit corporate America after 45 years. I'm like, deuces, I'm done. This is
Right.
not good for my mental health. And I get to work with customers and do the things that I want to do on my own terms. So, like, part of my self love and self care right now is I'm taking every Monday off until it gets cold again.
Yeah, no, I
You know,
get that. It's awesome, though. I mean, you're worried about yourself. You're doing your own thing, and it's funny you say that, because a friend of mine that actually is probably watching right now, she goes by Sprite. Okay, I know her real name. I don't give out her government name just because she goes by Sprite. So Sprite had said the same thing to me one day. She said to me, "Pete, people need to know your story." So I'm going to record an episode of mine and just go complete nitty gritty with people. Now it's going to be interesting how people respond, because there's a lot of things I don't tell people. Like, I go and do interviews, and I don't get really deep into it, because I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it from beginning to end, tell you all the nitty gritty details, all the things I've done that I have to deal with, that I've done, like I account for everything. And, from where I've been, from where I'm now, it's been a major difference. So like, now I feel like it's gonna happen one of these times. I'm gonna end up recording it. I keep saying I'm gonna do it, but it's going to change a lot of perceptions. But I mean, it is what it is. I'd rather people know the full story, Pete, like what got me to where I'm at now, because a lot of weird stuff has happened. A lot of things I've done, and, I dealt with a narcissist for 15 years, and it was, there's a lot more to that story. There's things I did that weren't that great either. And I think it's just going to feel great to get it off my chest, to tell people what it is, because I don't tell a lot of people about it because I don't know how they're going to perceive it. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I'm just going to throw it out there and just let people see really what happened. And then just like after that, I'm just going to leave it right there for them to view. Because at this point, it is what it is. It happened. I can't change the past, but I can only take accountability for what I've done.
For sure. And like, just for your listeners, like, I'll give you guys like the Reader's Digest version of what happened, because there may be other people out there that kind of what happened with me. So the last quarter of 2022, there was some good stuff and a whole lot of bad stuff. At the time I was 59 and a half, I got offered an early retirement from my job, which was perfect because like the week before I had been praying to win the lottery. But then, I started thinking after that, there's still a lot of ageism out there in the workforce. So for me to find a job and, be able to keep up my bougie lifestyle, because you know what? Yes, I do have a Mac and I have my iPhone, and, I like to do fun things.
All right.
And then like a week after that happened, my wife ended up getting shingles. And if you've ever met anybody that got shingles, there's absolutely nothing you can do to help them or make them feel better. And so while she was healing, I hit and killed a deer, which was horrifying to me because I've never hit and killed an animal before. I ended up getting catfished and the FBI got involved. Thankfully, I woke up, like my brain kind of came out of its fog for a little bit, just enough so that like I didn't spend any money. But then a really good friend of ours passed away unexpectedly. My father-in-law passed away 2 days before Thanksgiving. Throw in some seasonal depression, some holiday depression. And then like a couple of weeks before my attempt, we were in New York City. And like I did some things that are totally out of character for me. I got super drunk. I lost my phone in a Uber. I broke my nose in the hotel room. When I bent over, like I face planted into the window. Like all things that like people should have honed in on, but they didn't. Nobody's trained in how to help somebody that's going through a mental health crisis, right? They see things at face value, and it was all of that all compacted into a really short time frame. And then, like at work, they had taken away all my duties because they knew I was retiring after the first of the year, and so like my sense of worth went away. Like I was empathed to death because I'd taken on everybody else's pain, right, and trying to help them. And then, after I called 988 and I got a therapy appointment, like one of the first things my therapist taught me was boundaries. Like I hadn't set up boundaries, and like as an empath, like how to put my shield up, right? Yeah. So now, like I have this imaginary black box, and if it smells like drama, like I gotta really think hard about bringing that drama in.
Yep.
And I've lost some friends because of this, right? Because now I use no a lot more often than I did in the past. Like I protect my mental health more than anything else in this world. And I'm happier for it. And I was able to find the things that brought me joy. Like my podcast brings me joy. For 30 Skittles a night, it's like free therapy.
Did you say 30 Skittles is the person's name? I love that name. That's awesome.
So our stage names are Dirty Skittles and I'm G-Rex.
30 Skittles. I love it. That's so awesome. I love that name.
And like I said, when we started the podcast, it was all based off of me sharing my story. So I shared my story the day after on social media, and I had about 200 people reach out to me and thank me. I have thousands of friends. Nobody, like I said, nobody knew how depressed I was. And then, every day before work, Dirty Skittles and I would call each other. And I'm going to use this term super loosely because I retired in April. We would call each other and laugh about the most irreverent things ever. But here's the thing about laughter, right? Like we can laugh with our mental health. Laughter releases all that cortisol, gets your serotonin going, gets your endorphins going, and it can really help change the trajectory of the day. So I was during one of those conversations, she's like, "Hey, let's do a podcast." I'm like, "Okay, let's do a podcast." And like I said, we thought we would do 3 episodes. We're up to season 11 now, and just really, really, really love what we're doing. And all our guests have reached out and said thank you because we make it when you come on the podcast with us, or if you just listen, it's like sitting around the fire just shooting the shit with friends. We
Hmm.
either make you laugh or cry or whatever, but it's super healing. It's
Yeah.
healing for me. It's healing for Dirty Skittles, and I'm sure that you've had the same thing. Like a lot of people are afraid to talk to somebody face to face about what they're going through, but you put them
Yeah.
in front of a microphone, and like they can go for days. It's super cathartic for people, and for me, like I'm writing a book. I was almost done, and then I quit my job, but I wanted to like have that section in my book, and it in the book, I found it to be very cathartic when I was writing about everything that had happened, and I learned a bunch of stuff about myself.
Yeah, that's awesome though. I thought about writing a book too, doing a memoir about my own story and things like that too. It's come up in conversation several times. And like I said, my good friend told me about the same thing. She was like, you should people want to hear your story. And I'm just like, yeah, I know I'll get around it one day. It's I procrastinate a lot when it came to that kind of thing because I was just like, I didn't think I was comfortable enough, but I think after doing about 100 episodes of this, which not this past month, the Monday before was actually 100, the 100th episode live we've done. This show hasn't even been a year long yet, and I've already had 100 episodes posted live. And I've thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to just start sharing it, just like you did. Just go for it and just leave it out there and see what people say. Because at this point, I honestly don't even care what the comments are. You can hate it, you can love it. It's just what happened. You'll deal with it either way. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, not sorry, Reese's, as they like to say. I don't know what to tell you.
Our goal really, like our mission has always been to destigmatize how we talk about mental health.
Yeah.
And there's nothing taboo about it, and I want people to know that there's so many resources out there. Like if you're not comfortable listening to a podcast, pick up the phone, text, call 988. There's also like another place I send people, like if they're in crisis and they're not really comfortable with calling 988, you can go out to the helphub.co, and it breaks it down by categories, like whatever you're dealing with, and lists out all the crisis numbers across the world. And you know, just make sure you're taking care of yourself. Like I said, the world needs you,
Hmm.
and like in some cases, like what you're feeling today, you may not feel tomorrow, but give yourself a chance. Give the world a chance. Give your friends a chance to help you out.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest part is people giving someone a chance or being honest or opening up about it. I think you find a lot of your real friends will show through real quick, the ones that are there to listen to you and things like that. And then the people that don't want to be there won't be there. Then that's their choice. Don't let that affect you because if they didn't want to be there in the first place, then that's fine. Then that's less people you need to deal with. Honestly, if they were your real friend, they'd listen to what you have to say. And I have a good friend that did that for me. He did that when I was going through a lot, and he was the one that pointed out the whole thing when I was dealing with narcissists. He was like, "Hey man, you need to realize what's going on right now." I said, he's like, something's not right. She's cheating. And he was pointing out all the things. He's like, you already know all these things. He said, look at what's going on around you, man. He kept saying it. And I was like, nah, man, no, I had that too much trust in this person because they had me that manipulated to believe that, oh no, they'd never do these things to me. And then when he started like listing them off, he's like, look at the things you're pointing out. He goes, tell me that doesn't sound weird to you in some way. He goes, I'm like, yeah, and it took that one person to open my eyes to what was really going on. And me and him have been friends for years. And it's funny how we even met. We've been online playing video games together. We randomly joined up with a couple of people that knew each other, and he was a mutual friend of someone else. And ever since then, we've hung out. He's come out here to visit me before. I haven't made it to California where he's at yet, but I'm planning on going that way too. And it's like you never know who you're going to meet these days. And we've been great friends ever since then. Me and my buddy Lewis have known each other. We've been through a lot of stuff together, man. Like I could call him at 2 o'clock in the morning, my time, and if you whatever his time, and he knows if I'm calling him at that late a time, it's something going on. He's answering, or if he misses the call, he's calling back on, yo, what's up? What's going on, man? You're not calling me for no reason. So it's great when you have that support system of people you can reach out to when you're in need of things like that.
Yeah, community is huge, right? Um, for me, like I have like three really good friends. My wife, Dirty Skittles, and I are like the best of friends. Like I get to do a podcast with somebody I love to death. And then, I have another friend here locally, and we help each other out, right? We bring out the best and the worst in each other, but they allow me to be myself. And they
Yeah.
understand like what I'm going through and how I'm just trying to make it from day 1 to day 2 to day 3. So funny that we're talking about this in November of last year. I got super depressed again. My circumstances, I had taken on a part-time job, and my circumstances at work had really changed. The small consulting firm I was working for had got picked up by a big consulting firm, and I was like, I don't want to do this again, right? Like my entire life, I compromised, compromised, and compromised, and this time I wasn't going to compromise, and so I ended up having really bad resting bitch face, and like once you get into the resting bitch face mode, it's hard to turn that off, right? Like people would be like, "Hey, you need to check, check your face." Listen, this is what you get, okay? Like there's no changing it. But this time, everybody knew where I stood because I let people know right away that I was depressed, but that I had, really good tools in my toolbox this time to help me make it to that next minute, next hour, next day.
Yeah, yeah, that's good though. The resting bitch face makes me laugh because there's a girl I worked with for a long time. She'd always have these guys come and ask her like, "Oh, he's so sad. Why are you so mad?" I'm like, "She's not. She just doesn't like you. That's what it is." What I tell a lot of them because I hear them say something there and I chime in. I'm like, "Yeah, well, she just doesn't like you. That's what it is," or something jokingly, and she just starts laughing over there, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I said, people are asking her, right? Because you have resting bitch face. And this other girl I worked with was like, "Oh my God, Peter, you can't tell her that." I'm like, I'm just saying this is what they're saying. I'm telling you what they're seeing. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just telling you what they're seeing. And that's why she's getting a lot of weird attraction from these guys. Mind you, she's a very pretty girl, so that was another thing. So I obviously had to set up a code system with them. They just shout my name really loud and come over. And I'll handle any weirdos that come because, in the middle of the night, you never know what kind of strange people you get, where we're at. So, and we've had situations where I've had to tell some people like, "Hey, listen, you need to chill. You're making her feel uncomfortable, and things like that." And I'm always the number one person to say something, And my boss was telling somebody one time about it. She was watching the camera, and then I walked in, and she goes, "Why'd you stop the camera?" She said, "Because you see that guy right there?" And it was me walking in. She goes, "Because if something was going on, I guarantee you, without even thinking twice, he'd say something. He has no problem saying anything to anybody." And it's, then it was perceived as I'm the asshole. I'm like, I'm not the asshole. I'm just being honest. I don't tolerate people's shit. I raised 3 girls of my own they were in their teens and now they live with their mom, and things like that too. It's like, I don't tolerate that. Like one phone call is all it takes. So, hey, listen, somebody's causing some trouble up here. And I'm rolling up going, "Yo, what's the problem? You having an issue?" Because since I started to now, we don't get that many people in there acting a fool anymore because they know that when I'm there, I'm not the one tolerating the shit. You got somewhere else to be. You need to go because I'm not going to let it happen, And it was funny though. You mentioned your podcast because now one of my coworkers knows I do a podcast, and she came up to me the other day and she's told me the situation. She was telling me the situation and what happened, and I was like, she's like, "I know that what you do, that you can handle this conversation we're about to have." And I was like, "Oh, damn, really? Okay, cool." And what she told me would just blow your mind. It's like, wow. But, and it was nice because now I have all these resources of people I met. So Nicole Richardson was on the show. I had reached out to her about the situation and say, "Hey, Nicole, I know this is random. I know this is late at night. I'm sorry, but hey, I got a question for you. I have a friend," and told her about the situation. Now, I asked the girl beforehand. I said, "Listen, can I ask one of my contacts I know, see if I can't find somebody that'll help you get you to the next level where you need to be for the situation?" And she said, "Yeah." So I reached out to Nicole, and Nicole reached back with some great resources. Was like, "Yeah, hey, listen, I recommend this person. Here's the contact information." And I wouldn't have had it had he not done this show, And ever since doing this show, it's just great because people come to me all the time and say, "Hey, Pete, I appreciate what you're doing." I'm like, "I'm just having a conversation, but okay, cool, yeah, I appreciate it," And it's great feeling too.
It is. And so like I have a couple of questions for you, if you
Yeah, go
don't
ahead.
mind.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go.
So one of the favorite questions we ask on the podcast now is if your anxiety had a theme song, what is it
Oh man.
and why?
You ever watch the movie Scott Pilgrim? I can't think of the song. The beginning of Scott Pilgrim, it's like, just like the complete randomness of it just going everywhere.
Yeah.
And why? Because it's just what it's like for me. Like my idea gets in my head and it just starts strumming along like he does in the beginning. And it's like all of a sudden it just starts going completely chaotic all of a sudden. Like it'll start building up and start going shh, and start going even faster. And if I had to give it a movie name, I'd give it'd be Scott Pilgrim. Really, it would be because my head, like in my head, I'm having a war amongst myself. My my anxiety will start kicking in, then this thought will kick in, and then it's like you're playing telephone with yourself. So all the different people that are all involved in the whole conversation that he journeys through, it's like you're having all those people in your head at once have that conversation. And the other way I describe my anxiety too to people is like it's like the movie Get Out. Like you're sitting there and it's like when you're in the middle of a panic attack, you're looking up, you can see reality, but you can't touch reality because you're so stuck in place that you can't get there. And it's like you see it above you, the whole room's black around you. Nothing else matters because obviously you're in a heightened state of panic. You're not thinking about anything else around you. And it's like when a lot of times I don't freak out when I have one. I usually just kind of get really keep to myself. And I'll start getting really worked up and I'll walk away just to kind of like if I'm going to blow off steam, I'll go outside and walk away for a minute, and it's hard to tell people about it because a lot of the people I work with are the older generation. They don't understand that stuff. And when you try to explain it to them, they don't get it. They don't understand. They think it's all hogwash, And my boss, she tried to talk to me about it and was like, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, congratulations. I appreciate you, what you're trying to do. I just don't think you're understanding what's going on here. It's like, we shouldn't freak out. I'm like, okay. Outside I'm telling her, okay. In my head, I'm thinking, you have no idea what I'm dealing with, do you? And I love the fact that you're trying to talk to me, but I don't think you're ready to understand, or you're too out of it, too out of the realm here to understand, even if I explained it to you, kind of thing. But I appreciated her coming and talking to me because she's always been really great and things like that. But I know for sure she's that person that's not going to listen to anything I say. She's going to look at me like, okay, that's interesting, because she knows I do a podcast too. And I've told her a little bit about it. And she just looks at me and doesn't say anything. Like, she doesn't get it. That type of person gives you that look like they just don't get it. Like,
Well, and that what's really cool with like on my other side of my business. So one side of my business is super technical. I work with UKG recruiting and onboarding customers to implement their software and do training and things like that. But on my wellness side of my business, I'm really working with companies to do training, right? Like mental health training, just basic stuff like how to identify stress, how do I identify anxiety, how to identify, burnout, and how to have those conversations with their employees.
I think it's a well-needed conversation, honestly.
And like not be a jerk about it, right? Like just giving them like, talk tracks and like little tools that they can use to improve their own mental health. Because a lot of times people think that this all falls on HR, but it doesn't. It actually falls on everybody. It falls on the managers, the team leads, the employees themselves. And, I'm just going to go back to that other thing is just be nice. Listen, you have no idea what's going on. None. But a conversation, like an authentic conversation, not like you are doing
keyword
it wrong.
In that sentence, authentic is the key sentence right there. Don't try and fake that shit because people can read and sense that shit a mile away.
Yeah, like don't pull out a script and be like, I understand you are having anxiety today.
When you
How
say
can
script,
I help this?
You read a School for Scoundrels where the guy's talking to John, the guy that played Napoleon Dynamite, and the Mexican guy, Luis. I can't think what his name is now, but the guy is playing the captain. He's like, look, babe, I get to do the counseling thing. He's on the phone telling his wife. I feel like that's what it's like for some of these people. They're like, oh, they get ready to pull out a script or something. Like, oh man, baby, I gotta go. I'm doing that counseling thing. Like right now, it's like.
Yeah, like can you like imagine like managers pulling out their script? Oh, this guy's got anxiety. Like, you looks like you have anxiety. And in my script, it says we should try this. Okay, that is not an authentic conversation. Like, read like the materials that you're given, but like go talk to them with your authentic heart. Like, don't be a jerk.
No, yeah, exactly. We had a younger guy. He actually works on the audio side. Shout out to Logan, by the way, buddy. I know you listen to these. He reviews all my audio, and he had gone through something too, and it was interesting to see how they reacted to him. Like he freaked out, but they didn't get it. I'm like, I get it. You got a lot going on. You got overwhelmed, things like that too, and you could see he was getting overwhelmed. I could notice it. I was like, hey man, you need to step outside, and I kept checking in with him all the time. Like, hey man, you good? Are you doing okay? And he had to take a day where he was just like, I need a day. And they're like, oh, he just needed a day off. No, I think he needs a mental health day, but okay, I'm not going to tell you that because you would understand anyways. And with me doing the show and learning to identify certain things like that too as I go, it's great because I can be more supportive to the other people around me and things like that too. And he he actually is a part of this thing. He actually joined on to be just part of this. He wanted to do sound tech anyway, so he clears up the audio for the audio side of the podcast. He was telling me the other day because I used to make some jokes to him about something. I won't say what it was. We were joking about something. And he goes, "Man, I realize how messed up you really are." I'm like, "Brother, you don't even have the half of it. Trust me. Wait till my story comes out and you have to edit that one. You're really gonna hear some crazy shit go on." But yeah, he dealt with it because we worked together for a long time, and he had dealt with issues too. And the thing was, it's like the way they reacted to him was just so funny because they're like, "Oh, well, he just needs a minute." I'm like, he needs more than that. He needs somebody to go out there and check on him to make sure he's okay. Like, he doesn't need you up in his face asking him 20 questions. Just say, "Hey, listen, man, you take some space, go relax, and come back when you're ready." But then I started watching him the next few days afterwards, and he started getting overwhelmed again. I'm like, dude, don't let this job get to you. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it is, like don't let these people overwhelm you. You feel like you need to be on a certain time schedule. Okay, well, some days you just got to say, fuck it. Don't even worry about it, man. Just worry about you, man. It's not worth letting them get to you and let you win, because I've let it happen before too, where I got overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff and I had to step out, and it's like, well, we can't freak out now, Peter. I'm like, well, I'm thinking, well, you have no idea what I deal with every day, but okay, that's very nice of you to say.
You make me laugh, but and now I lost my train of thought. This has never happened on a podcast because I usually have a lot of words in my mouth. But one thing I was going to say is, like, if anybody that's out there, and there's a big push for this right now, any job there's no job that is worth your mental health, right?
No, God,
Zero.
no.
There is absolutely no job. You can always find something new. But also, for anybody that works for a company that has 50 employees or more, they have FAMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act, right?
Yeah.
So if you need to take time, work with your leave coordinators so you can take the time to get your mind right.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Walking away from that situation, like, okay, there's one, you can rage quit, but that's really not the way to do it.
Listen, we've all had thoughts about walking out, just throwing stuff out the door. Come on now.
Yeah, like, don't rage quit, but like, take care of your mental health.
Yeah.
And if it means like calling in sick to work, call in sick to work. Take care of you, because at the end of the day, all you have is you, and you want to love yourself, and you want to be happy, and you want to get outside and play. Like, for the last 5 months, that's all I wanted to do was get out and play. But I live in upstate New York, and it's been cold as hell up here. I had exactly 1 day of spring, and that was a week ago last Monday, because ever since then, it's been like 40 and rainy.
She's like, I have that 1 day of rain, the snow, man. That's why I live in Texas now. I used to live in the Illinois area. I could not stand that snow, man. People don't understand. When I get snow, they're like, little snow out here, and they shut everything. I'm like, guys, you've not seen snow yet. Trust me.
Yeah.
Like, you think you've seen it? Go visit Gretchen over there. She's got it worse than I do.
Yeah, it's been horrible. But like, we moved here from South Florida to upstate New York. Number one, just, too many people, crazy politics. In the height of the pandemic, like, if you ever want to move, that is the best time to do it, because there's absolutely was nobody on the road. But, I live like on 8 acres here, and, one of the things I do to ground myself is I go outside. I don't go outside a whole lot in the wintertime because it's cold and I have to put like shoes and socks and a jacket on. But in the like summer, spring, and fall, I can go outside. I can yell all I want. Like, nobody's going to hear me.
Yeah.
Find the things that are going to make you happy. And so, like, one of the other things I do now, and I credit Dirty Skittles for this, is on my phone, I have like a folder, and it's pictures that bring me joy. So whenever I'm going through something really crappy, I'll pull out my phone and I'm like, I look at the joy folder, or I'll throw on some music that just like helps like rattle up the stuff that's in my head. Like, if I shake it up a little bit, like, trying to take those intrusive thoughts out. And the other thing I really have worked on really hard is that negative self-talk,
Yeah.
right? Like, would you talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself? Probably not. So when that happens, I'm like, okay, you're being a jerk and you need to stop. And that's what I do for myself. But like I said, I'm so incredibly happy to be alive now.
Yeah.
I got to turn all that horrible stuff into something really good. And I want people to know that, there's no easy button, but if you're willing to put in the work, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. That's awesome though, because you also had the podcast. You said you're close to 2 million downloads now. You have the other one now. You do too. It's like you had so much more to do, and I think that the universe had a plan for you. It was just it. Unfortunately, you had to go the rough route. You had to go, and now we're here now. We're both here now. We'll have podcasts and things like that. Things I've been talking about. I want to do for a long time is do a podcast, and I said fuck it. One day I just said fuck it. Let's go for it. Had the experience, a horrible experience with a co-host, and it was more because they were very extreme about things, and I just was like, yeah, I don't agree with what you're saying. I can't support something like that. It was a fun little thing to do at first. It was great. I shared some stories in the first season of those things I deal with in customer service, and people are eating that up. They were laughing. I'm like, yeah, y'all think this is funny, but this is stuff I've dealt with. Like, these are some crazy ass things that have gone on here, And then when I brought in the co-host, it got wild because then she got really graphic and sexual in nature. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm married. My wife doesn't approve of these things, so I can't be a part of this kind of stuff. And then when I did this show, the only agreement I had to make was that it was a solo mission. I can't have a co-host or anything else, and stuff like that. That was the one thing I was agreed to. And I was like, and not saying a co-host is wrong. It just wasn't fitting for what I was doing, and we just got out of hand with the subjects that we got into. But yeah, it's been interesting though along the way, man. And it's funny you say self-talk because I talked to somebody for an hour long about self-talk, and it was the most interesting conversation ever because we went real deep. She was giving me all the technical stuff and all these different things, and and she was even impressed that I could keep up with the conversation. I'm like, listen, trust me, I can keep up with most conversations. Don't get me wrong. I may not know a lot, but trust me, I can keep up with a lot of stuff, And I also have a little nice little chat sheet. I have a what is it? Perplexity is what I got. Another version of like an AI over here that I can look up stuff along the way as she's talking to me so I can keep up too. So, like I have all these different tools in place to help me, in case I don't understand what something is, I can look up some statistics. So like we're live talking about stuff and I can pull up different statistics and stuff like that too. So it's been a journey though since the beginning, but it's great. And we're already out to October now. I think I've got one person booked in October now. And that's just Mondays alone because I do a weekly show on a podcast network too, and that's where we're live now is on a podcasting network and things like that. And listen, I never even attempted to do this. I would never even had it. It was like after the first few days of posting the idea, they reached out to me and said, hey, listen, I'm starting a new podcast network. Would you be interested? I'm like, well, I don't have anything recorded, mind you. And he was like, no, I don't care. He goes, it's for new people to get in there and do things. And Tom and Jenny are the ones that run it, and they have their own podcast that they were doing with some other network, and they said they didn't like how the network was treating them. So, and hats off to them because without for them, I would not have this show live like this. I don't think I'd be as far as I am now. And then I have the audio side because some people like to digest it that way. So I'm like Spotify on iHeartRadio. I'm out there, so you can hear me everywhere. So it's great though because a lot of people hearing these conversations have come up to me and said, "Well, you don't sound like the same person." I said, "What does that mean when you say that?" They said, "Oh, well, you sound really intelligent." I'm like, what do you mean? Because you like what? I sound intelligent. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm having a conversation. You mean that you didn't think I could hold up in these conversations? I'm sorry. Sorry for you doubting me. But I'm glad that you kind of turning me around the corner, but enjoy because the show's just getting started here.
Yeah, like we're blown away by the success. And It was funny because in the past, like Dirty Skittles would get really anxious about the numbers and things. Now the tables have turned because I don't, number one, like I didn't understand why why we ended up with so many listeners and things like that. But what gives me even more anxiety now is we are physically booked with guests until May of next year.
Hey, there you go. That's what's up. See, I was at the beginning of this year, I was out till September at least. So, there's a high enough demand of just people that want to be on the show and things like that too. And other people are like, oh, well, I'll have to wait till next year to get an interview. I'm like, well, actually, you might not, because I try to add extra ones in here and there. because the network told me I could fill in the space where nobody's at for right now. It's like, well, why not? Let's get their name out there. Let's go. They're giving me the opportunity to be here, so let's get them hyped up.
And you know what? The other thing, Pete, that I love is that just the guests, right? They
Hmm.
have these incredible, engaging stories, and like things that they've done that I probably haven't read from someplace else. And Dirty Skittles and I laugh all the time. It's like free therapy for us. We
Yeah.
record one Saturday a month, and we'll record like 5 to 6 episodes. But like for self care the following day, like I will go and do something fun, like
Yeah.
purposely fun. I will like check out. Like it is no social Saturday, like or Sunday. I'll stay completely off of social media and just take care of myself, because that's the other thing. It's like social media like messes with your head too, right?
Hmm.
Doom scrolling on TikTok, doom scrolling on Instagram. You know, do other things. Like if you live someplace where it's nice enough to even like maybe get out in the morning, get outside.
Hmm.
Everybody needs a little sunlight. Like right now, I have fake sunlight with my like sad lamps because I just need some sun.
Yeah.
But in a couple weeks, it's gonna be beautiful and sunny here. And like, do things that make you happy. Do
Exactly.
things, and let's just be nicer to each other right now, please.
I think that's the one message too. I did get a chance because of this show to do a Holocaust survivor panel with a gentleman named Ben Lesserman, and Ben's message to the world was, I love everyone, love everybody, even though everything Ben's been through and the crazy stories this guy had told us, and like I've been listening to his story too. Another person I had on the show, Hillary, she runs the hysterically thinking podcast, and hers is like number 3 in thinking mental health right now. And she had done an interview with Ben, and the two of them were talking. I had to pause halfway through because it was a lot. I was taking on a lot, being an empath myself, I was like, man, I need to take a break from it. This is intense. Like, this guy's been through like some crazy stuff. Like, he's talking about 10-year-old kids getting tossed into fire pits and things like that. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus, Ben. He's like, yeah, we were just walking in. He's like, and then the ash that was flying through the air was bodies that they had burnt up and things like that. It's just like the things he'd gone through. And this man still had a positive message for the world. He's like, let's don't let them forget what happened, so we don't repeat history. And it's another thing Ben likes to say too, and he went so far as to make a digital AI of himself. So he spent a lot of time into this, and he's still speaking now. He's like 90 something. He's still out there speaking and still engaging with people, talking to kids. And I was like, you're talking to kids, Ben? He's like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, I was talking to the kids. And he said the kids were really interested in what he had to say. And I'm just like, for you to catch the attention of a child, man, you have to be had something special there, because it's hard to keep their attention nowadays for anything.
It is, and I'm so grateful for your podcast. Helping us like just change the narrative. Let's
Yeah.
just keep changing the narrative together. I'm so honored to be here,
I
and
appreciate you coming. I really do. It's been awesome.
what a great episode.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And like I said, every time I get a new person in here, it's interesting because one person I had on, she literally said, she goes, I didn't know how this conversation was to go, but she said the first 5 minutes of meeting you, she said, I already knew this was going to be a great conversation. And me and her went back and forth for a while and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, listen, man, I try to be as friendly as possible. It's great. People taking the time to come visit me. Like, I'm going to make you feel like an all-star because you're here visiting. Like, why not? Like, you took the time to come visit me. Like, I met another girl the other day named Caitlin. She does I Need a Friend. She's only 12 episodes in, and I was telling her I saw a lot of me and her, man. The excitement of things, the learning of stuff she's learning so far. I said, girl, you got no idea what you're about to get into. I said, because I'm going to start sending you some guests that I know. I told her to join the same site that we're a part of. Like, I joined the site. I'm like, for $6 a month, man, I have a list of people I could send you for days of just people that you could have come on and come visit and things like that. And she's really great, though. She was like, well, I saw the people at podcast. I'm like, let me tell you all right now, just because someone else has a podcast, don't let that discourage you or make you discredit or make you feel like you can't do one, because everybody has a voice. Like, there's 23 hours, there's 24 hours in a day, man. All right. They can't listen to all of them 24 hours in a day. So, you're out there lending your voice to something. It's, how are you going to know until you try? Like, don't stop saying I can't and just do it,
Just do it. Like, pick up a microphone, find one of the free hosts out there, and share your message. Right?
Exactly.
There's 4.3 million downloads out there. But you know what? It's not a numbers game.
It's
It's
not.
about sharing what makes what's going on in your life, what you want to impart on the world, because the world just needs to learn.
Yeah.
And like huge shout out to Podmatch, right? Like
Hmm.
what a
Alex and them
great
do fantastic work. He actually reached out to me, Gretchen, right when he was starting. When I started mine, he reached out to me at first, and I didn't think anything in the email because I was like, I don't know. This a random email came in from Alex, and it was Alex himself directly messaging me. And I was like, damn, and then somebody else had mentioned it sometime mid-November. A woman named Stephanie Aycock. She's doing a movie called oh god, what is it now? Damn, I can't even remember now. Bloom. It's called Bloom. Sorry, Stephanie. I know she's gonna laugh when she hears me, but yeah, she does a movie. She's working on a movie called Bloom. She's in the funding stage of it. She had mentioned this site to me. She's like, "Hey, yeah, you check it out." I'm like, "Why does that name sound so familiar?" So I went and looked at my emails, and I realized that it was Alex who had directly emailed me and said, "Hey, Pete, listen, I got this new site. I wanted you to come try it out, and see what you think." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe I'll get around to it." And I never even thought about it. But I saved the email because I was telling my wife, I was like, yeah, hey, listen, there's this guy who reached out to me at this site. He said it, matches guests up and things like that. And I was like, I didn't think anything of it, but now I'm so glad I got on it because I've met so many great people from there, and I've made so many different connections and different people's, different friends I've made of things like that, and it's been great though. Cause one of my good friends, Catherine, I talk to all the time. She's in Australia. Me and her talk like nonstop all the time about just different things. Like I reach out to her, and stuff like that with guests, and she shares guests with me. And then I have another person named Melissa. She runs Emotionally Unavailable, and I send her guests all the time too. And I got her on the site too because I interviewed with her. Was my second interview was with her I've ever done, and it was a blast. Like we just got in there and we're just like, she just said click record, and we were just going for it too, and things like that. So I encourage people to join all the time, man. If you get a podcast, you guys don't limit yourself, man. $6 a month will unlock you to the potential of millions of people on there you can talk to. And people like Gretchen and other people, really great people you get to meet all the time. And then from there, they just talk about you and tell other people, hey, listen, you got to go check out this show. It's just on, and I constantly tell people. So after we're done, I guarantee you're going to be sent out to a few of those people too. Like, hey, listen, y'all got to get her on. You have to see what she's doing. What she's doing is something special, especially with the 2 million almost downloads and everything else you're doing, and just having a voice out there. It's just great. And hats off to you and Skills, because you guys had the encouragement to do it. You guys just said, fuck it, let's do it one day, and there you are, man. And people are loving what they're hearing. So you're obviously doing something right. And I'm shocked still that I've got, I looked at my YouTube numbers the other day. I was just curious. I had 28,000 views in the last 30 days on my channel. I was just like, whoa, hold on. This is crazy,
because
people,
now you're famous.
Right now I'm famous. Everyone knows me. A lot of people talk about me and things like that too, and it's great. And it's like, oh, okay. I still live in that doubt. I'm like, oh, they're talking about me. Okay, all right, cool, man. All right, hey.
Yeah, and if you're anything like me, I get super cringy and like duck back out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not famous.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, quit talking about me. I'm not that person. But like the other thing with Podmatch is that my friend Lisa Sugarman and I started the Survivors podcast. She was a guest on our podcast, and I had met her through Podmatch.
Yeah,
and we just hit it off. And like, so if you're a suicide attempt survivor or a survivor of survivor of loss from suicide, check us out. It's just two of us. We are not clinical by any means. Super easy conversation. We like give you out as many resources that we can. And the more we talk about it, the less stigma there is.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna start wrapping up this episode. Gretchen, I am definitely gonna put all those in the link below for sure.
Okay.
I'll get all the links for your shows and stuff, and I'll put them on there, and that way everybody can find them. I have all your other social links and stuff like that, and things like that too. So, is your new podcast already releasing episodes yet?
Yeah, we release new episodes every Wednesday.
Okay, cool. So definitely, guys, you know exactly where to find her. Even if you're not a part of Suicide, you want to still support the show, go listen to it. Why not? What else you got to do? Turn around where you're doing something else, cleaning the house or whatever else. Go check her out, man. Show her some love because she's clearly got something going there right now. Almost 2 million downloads. It's amazing, and an achievement is on its own. So, well, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being here. This is a great conversation. Did you want to give a shout out to anybody? You want to plug anything new coming up? Anything exciting you're going to be doing?
No, just come give us a listen. You guys can come out to our website. You can go out to goesoninourheads.net. Check out the podcast. We have all our episodes out there. The Survivors podcast is out everywhere. If you want to learn more about my company, just go out to shosersolutions.com. I am probably the easiest person to ever talk to. I'm an extrovert. I'm an empath, and I love to laugh at even the most irreverent things. I know I'm going to go to hell someday, but I'm okay with that.
She's like, I just punched my ticket. There I go. All right, guys, this wraps up this episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. Guys, you know where to find me. I'm Pete vs. Anxiety on X all the way down to TikTok. I'm on Spotify all the way down to iHeartRadio. And as I always say, it costs nothing, absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody. One kind act you could do could save somebody's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete vs. Anxiety saying, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, guys, how's your mental health today?